Good afternoon. It's McCollum on Business. I'm Stephen McCollum, and for the next 30 minutes or so here on this Friday, I'm going to get you updated on what's happening around the business world. Of course, look at the market. With the Market Watch, stocks we're paying attention to today, and all the local and national stories that you need to know. And if you're anything like me, well, you're just tired of talking about the government shutdown. It's going on. It's continuing. The government continues. The Senate, at least, continues to vote to not reopen it, and it's going to continue into the weekend. Question is, how much longer are we going to be? We told you about those predictive markets here this week, where they're saying it's going until November 16th. A lot of people are putting their money on that side of it there. And so, how's that affecting everything else is kind of the question. And yesterday, before we looked at the markets, there was a lot of scare out there on especially the regional banks. But basically, those credit concerns around the banks with loans that they're putting out there, specifically to the automotive industry and a couple of bankruptcies there. Well, those fears, have they subsided today? Let's get into it with the Market Watch. Yes, basically, investors are betting. They're investing like the bank credit concerns with these loans. Well, they're betting it's not serious. The smoke is kind of cleared here over the last 24 hours. You're going to have some people go out of business, obviously, in this economy with those bad debt businesses. But overall, investors at least are speculating that the concerns aren't as serious as they once were as of yesterday. And that shows here the indexes, right? Dow Jones is up 306 points right now to 46,222. The S&P 500 is up 41 points to 6660. The Nasdaq's up 62 points right now to 22,626. Russell 2K, the only one backwards here today. Well, the only one in the index is at least backwards today. 11 points backwards for that small cap index, 2450 for it. And then you've got Bitcoin down 20,000, roughly 19,000 since October 6th when it hit that high of 125,000. Bitcoin continuing its slide here, 106,750 for Bitcoin here on this Friday, down another 1,400 points as of right now. So Bitcoin continuing to go backwards. Cryptocurrencies as a whole, by the way, have been going backwards here over the last couple weeks as well. So something to keep an eye on. Government shutdown, where we stand, tariff sides, right, with that Chinese United States battling it out there and trying to get the upper hand. You know, right now, President Trump is meeting with Ukrainian President Zelensky over at the White House. That's a whole deal on, are we going to sell him some missiles here coming up? Obviously, that would help some of the defense stocks out there if that does open up and happen. So something to pay attention to on the business side of things here coming up. And stocks we're paying attention to right now, well, let's look at AST Space Mobile. We've talked about this stock a couple times here over the last couple weeks. 6.18% down as of right now. They're a space-based broadband cellular network is what they are. We talked about them. I don't remember if it was early this week or end of last week. This is the company that teamed up with Verizon to allow you to make cell phone calls up in space. We can all plan our space vacations now because at least we'll have internet moving forward. Well, they're down 6.32% here today. They've more than doubled over the past month with all of the news that they've had, wireless in space, broadband in space, etc. They've doubled in the last month, 6.32% drop here today. Barclays did downgrade its investment rating. They moved it down to underweight. It was at overweight for Barclays up until today when they downgraded it. But they did leave the price target at $60. And if you look at the stock here, right, trading at $83.87, a price target of $60 means they're anticipating them go backwards. And this is where my minuscule mind races. Why are we celebrating and pumping money into a company that can put wireless access into space? Nobody can use it. But this stock has more than doubled in the last month until today out there. So 6.24% down here for AST Space Mobile. And this is just where my investing mind just can't go to, right, in terms of that. Oracle's the next stock that we're going to look at. Oracle, the software stock out there, well, they're down big today as well, 6.92%. They're giving back a big part of their rally that they had yesterday as the session went on. Oracle did confirm yesterday that they have a cloud computing deal with kind of just a small company out there, if you want to call them that. Actually, it's Meta, right? They have a cloud computing deal with Meta they announced yesterday. Stock shot through the roof, especially after showtime yesterday. Given some of those gains back here today, 6.96% today based off of that news. Then we got a couple stocks here in the medical side and a bonus stock we're going to give to you here. Novo Nordisk is the first stock we're paying attention to. You know them. Pharmaceutical stock, GLP-1 medications out there. They're down 3.77%. Novo Nordisk is. President Trump suggested obesity drug costs could be much lower. So he's basically saying these guys are overcharging for their GLP-1 medications. But Dr. Mehmet Oz, he's the administrator for the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services. He noted that the price of those popular GLP-1 medications, he said they had not been negotiated by the White House at this point. So President Trump calling them overpriced. Dr. Oz saying, well, we haven't negotiated the price yet. Well, Novo Nordisk is down 3.67%. And then Eli Lilly, we'll show you this graph as well if we got it here, but I can tell you they're down as well today. 2.95% down for Eli Lilly. And so it gives the implication that President Trump thinks those GLP-1 medications, this is Wegovy, those drugs. This is telling you the president thinks they're too high as they're going into a negotiation to argue it. So it puts these companies at a disadvantage in terms of pricing moving forward. When we come back later on and look at the stocks, we're going to look at those regional banks that we kind of talked about yesterday with those bankruptcies happening in the automotive loan industry where these regional banks specifically have a lot of money wrapped up into those investments. So we'll look at those when we come back later on the program and do our final market watch of the week. But first, we talk a lot about the Chinese, U.S. battling it out right now for upper hand in the tariff talks and everything. Interesting story here because we kind of told you that China earlier this week. We told you China, their exports to the U.S. are down like 60%, but their exports to the other nations, especially Latin America, are through the roof. Here's another kind of follow-up story on that. And, a lot of the exporters over there in China, they're giving up on exporting here to the United States because of the, erratic announcements here, tariff announcements here on the United States side of things. So, Chinese exporters, they make everything we buy, it seems like, but kitchen appliances, Halloween decorations, and everything. And they're shipping them more to Europe. They're shipping them more to the Latin America side, even Africa and the Middle East, because it's just easier for them to do so, more consistent to do so. Chinese custom data released this week showed exports from China. Well, they have grown 7.1%, and it's at basically $2.80 trillion if you want to just talk American money in the first 9 months of this year. So their exports have grown 7.1%. Yes, but there is that significant drops of goods heading to the United States that we talked about earlier this week. The growth is expected to help China demonstrate the resilience of its Chinese economy in the face of all these upheaval here with the United States. Trust me, they'd rather sell it to the United States. We are a better audience for them out there. But China is going to announce their third quarter GDP data coming up on Monday as well. So it's kind of giving them good thoughts here with the exports up to other countries. China's entire export-oriented manufacturing sector, well, they all pivoted basically at the same time. Competition has eroded prices as well, so they're all trying to get more so into the Latin markets, et cetera, Africa, Middle East. So they're all, lowering prices. Competition side of it is everybody's looking to grow to those markets at the same time. What it's doing? Well, it's making it difficult for manufacturers to make ends meet over there in China as they're having to lower prices to get into Latin America or increase their amounts. So that's one thing. The tariffs are kind of putting pressure on the Chinese exporters and people that make this stuff out there. And, it's going to be interesting to see. I think China giving in on this battle, I think it's going to come from internal China, because they want that American market. They need this American market. They can ship it all they want to Latin America, Africa, Middle East, and it's not going to be the same as here in the United States. And that story kind of leans us that part is the truth here coming up. And interesting story here, over the Trump administration and that HB1 visa fee. Well, yeah, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce is suing the Trump administration for that $100,000 annual fee for that new H-1B visa applications that President Trump announced, a month or so ago. Yeah, they claim that the Commerce Department claims that the fee is unlawful and that it would actually significantly harm U.S. businesses by implementing it. So this was a federal lawsuit filed yesterday in Washington, D.C. The chamber does ask the court to declare that President Trump exceeded the executive branch's authority by imposing the fee. And also, they want him to block the federal government agencies from enforcing that $100,000 fee as well. If you don't know what H-1B1 visas are, well, they're meant for highly skilled jobs. Tech companies, think of them. They find it hard to fill, so they go out and they get people from India and those countries to come here and be U.S. citizens, but be able to work here and fill those high tech roles. That's the idea behind the H-1B1. They're primarily associated, as I said, a big chunk. We talked about this with the India, United States tariff talk as well. It's mainly associated with India and those tech workers there coming over, big users of those H-1B1 visas. Big tech companies are the biggest users of the H-1B1 visas. Nearly 3/4 of those approved are from India. So it kind of tells you the relationship here as well and why India is so mad about this fee increase. But there are critical workers, things like teachers, doctors. Well, they can also fall outside of the category in terms of, using the H-1B1 category. And obviously those ones, a little bit harder to pay $100,000 if you're just a teacher, or a doctor coming over as well. So if you don't remember, the Trump administration announced that $100,000 fee last month. They said that employers were replacing American workers with cheaper talent from overseas, is what the President Trump's administration had said. The White House, though, has said that the fee won't apply to existing visa holders, and they even offered a form to request exemptions from the charge if you think you don't need to pay it moving forward. The chamber, though, does argue in their lawsuit that the new fee violates the immigration laws that govern the H-1B1 program, including the requirement that fees be based on the costs incurred by the government in processing those visas. I actually looked up how much the H-1B, I keep calling it H-1B1, but that's because I'm neurotic here and I keep mispronouncing it. The H-1B visa is what it actually is called. I'm going to keep calling it wrong because I've always called it the H-1B1 visa for some reason. But those visas, they cost $3,600 until this $100,000 fee came into effect. Yes. Kind of a big jump there, right? The new fee is scheduled to expire after a year. It could be extended if the government determines that it's in the interest of the United States to keep it out there as well. So in the past, historically, H-1B visas, I'm going to constantly do it, folks. Sorry, deal with me. Well, they've been doled out through lottery processes. This year, interesting enough, Amazon was the top recipient of those H-1B visas. And by the way, by a lot, they were the top employer getting them. 10,000 H-1B visas were awarded to Amazon. 10,000. Next up, Tata Consultancy, Microsoft, Apple, and Google were the next countries there. Interesting enough, California, where those big tech companies are based, California tends to get the highest number of H-1B workers in that state as well. Critics, though, point to this fact. It's supposed to be for skilled workers, the higher level tech workers. Well, critics say that those spots, well, they often go to entry-level jobs rather than those senior positions with unique skill requirements that it was required to go to or supposed to go to. So you're bringing in, people, janitors isn't the right term, but, line people in terms of semiconductors, et cetera, instead of those top skilled positions is what they're bringing in. So the program isn't supposed to undercut U.S. wages or even displace U.S. workers, which the critics are saying the way they use the format now, it's doing that out there as well. Companies can pay less because they classify jobs at the lowest skill levels. Even the specific workers hired, well, if they have more experience, you still classify them at the lowest skill levels, to to pay less, etc. out there. That's what the critics are worried about on that. So we'll see where that lawsuit goes for that $100,000 fee coming up as well. And we talked about Meta earlier, right? With Oracle confirming they have a cloud computing deal with Meta, and all that's around the AI side of things, artificial intelligence. Well, we get this news from Meta today, and they're adding parental controls for kids' interactions with artificial intelligence chatbots out there. So this does include the ability to turn off one-on-one chats with AI characters altogether, according to Meta. They're allowing us to do that as parents. It's going to begin early next year is when it's going to happen, but parents won't be able to turn off Meta's AI assistant. Well, got to keep theirs. We'll just restrict the other ones, right? Meta says it will remain available to offer helpful information and educational opportunities. They're going to have a default, though, right? And age-appropriate protections in place to help keep teens safe, Meta says. Parents, you still have some choices out there. If you don't want to turn off all the chats with all the AI characters, well, you'll be able to block specific chatbots if you want to allow some of them, but not others. Meta did say earlier today that parents will be able to get insights about what their kids are, specifically chatting about with AI characters, but they won't get access to the full chats. Parents will not from Meta. So if you have young kids, you're concerned about, obviously, artificial intelligence. I can tell you this, it's a dangerous thing. Now, there have been reports of kids committing suicide because of AI chatbots and what they say to them, things to that effect. Kids getting into bad spaces mentally because the chatbots, don't say appropriate things to them and kind of gets their morale down, etc. It is something you need to watch if you have young kids. They don't. A lot of adults can't handle that type of stuff, let alone kids out there. So Meta taking a step in the right direction to do kids. Do they go far enough? I guess would be the question that I have out there. And in food news, at least in fast food news, well, one of my favorite fast food restaurants always has been since I was a kid in California is Del Taco. It's kind of changed a little bit, and I blamed it, to be honest with you, on Jack in the Box. Only thing I like at Jack in the Box, the only thing I'll eat at Jack in the Box, one, their root beer is amazing to drink. But two, their tacos. God, I love their tacos. And I think Jack in the Box kind of ruined Del Taco. If you didn't know Jack in the Box, well, up until coming up here as well, they've owned Del Taco out there. And now Jack in the Box is selling the entire Del Taco chain to one of its franchisees. That franchisee is called Yadav Enterprises. They're based out of Fremont, California, and Yadav Enterprises will pay, to me, this is a shockingly low amount, $115 million to acquire Del Taco Holdings. That's a Jack in the Box subsidiary, and there's more than 550 Del Taco restaurants in that portfolio. Yadav Enterprises has 310 franchise restaurants. They don't just do Del Taco. They do Jack in the Box, Denny's, TGI Fridays locations. They also own Taco Cabana, which is a fast casual taco restaurant chain. They have 150 locations. They own that outright as well. They also own Nick the Greek locations, 90 of them as well. They own all those Nick the Greek locations. This is a big franchisees company buying the Del Taco brand from Jack in the Box. It's expected to close by January of 2026. Now, what that's going to do for Jack in the Box, obviously for Del Taco, it's hopefully they'll get back to their good food again with their menu options, maybe some better service because they've kind of gone downhill lately. Del Taco has on that side, but what does that mean for Jack in the Box? Where they're going to be able to retire debt that they have based off of a Del Taco side of things. And that's a big important thing that Jack in the Box is trying to do with the sale of the Del Taco side. Interesting enough, Jack in the Box, they have 2,160 restaurants in 22 states across the country. They're selling it for $155 million. They bought Del Taco in 2022. They bought it for $575 million at that time. They did it there because they wanted to diversify its position. They wanted to cash in on Del Taco's drive-through business specifically. There's so kind of a loss here for Jack in the Box on that Del Taco brand, and interesting selling point from that. I was surprised they bought it for so much and are selling it for so little. To me, that shows the mismanagement of Del Taco, to be honest with you. I've been disappointed in Del Taco last several years, folks, as you can tell on my face. Hey, maybe you noticed this. I've seen a lot of talk about things going down, internet's going down the other night, and even major mobile payment services. Companies like PayPal, Venmo, YouTube even. They all experienced widespread outages within a 24-hour period the other day. Big internet chains went down. I know Verizon lost some internet service stuff the other day as well. So PayPal and Venmo outages started about 11 a.m. yesterday. Tens of thousands of reports of worldwide outages on both sites by noon yesterday. These are Eastern times out there. DownDetector.com gave us this reporting, by the way. They follow and track when items go down and companies go down in terms of their services. As of 3 p.m. Eastern time, the issue, well, they seem to be resolved with those companies out there, but nobody knows why these outages have been happening out there. Nobody's talking about it. YouTube, yesterday morning, had confirmed users were unable to play videos on Wednesday, specifically Wednesday night time frame. They did note that they were on it, and they did report, Down Detector reported, more than 800,000 users reported issues on YouTube within an hour. They got it back up within a couple hours, but I saw some stuff of Verizon, AT&T losing some signal service and internet type stuff. It was I believe it was either Tuesday morning or Tuesday afternoon or Wednesday morning. And now you read about these services in this industry losing specific asides on that, and something to keep an eye on. There's something weird going on out there, folks. And my paranoia is going sky high with these stories popping up. And hey, if you're flying Southwest anytime soon, well, maybe you'll get on one of these new planes out there. Yes, Southwest has always had a famously simple, no frills model out there. They throw peanuts at you. They tell you to sit down so we can go. Well, now they have a new aircraft design, and it promises to be more elevated and give you a more elevated flying experience. Get it? Because they're in the air. Similar upgrades are planned for the existing fleet coming up, but the first plane with this new elevated style is out there as well. It's a Boeing 737 MAX 8. They debuted it yesterday with a refreshed interior. It's complete with extra legroom section. You have to pay more for. New high-end seats and refreshed lighting as well inside the airplane. So this is taking Southwest to where they want to go. It's that broader push to modernize its fleet and offer these new perks that hopefully they're hoping you'll pay for when you fly with Southwest coming up. These new aircraft, it enters service today. It features larger overhead bins, USB-A and USB-C power at every seat, device holders, and even redesigned tray tables with dual drink cutouts for your drinks. If you want to double fist alcoholic drinks while they're flying you around. The rollout follows a wave of recent Southwest announcements, as we know. The move from open seating to assigned seats that starts in January. A new premium section. The airline's first ever red-eye services coming on Southwest. Those are those overnight flights. They depart, midnight 1, 2 in the morning out here in the West, and you land, 5 a.m. or so there, or 6 a.m. there in the East Coast coming up. Assigned seating, as I said, is in January. They charge for luggage now as well. So these new Boeing 737 MAX 8 aircraft, they're equipped with premium Recaro R2 seats. Now, I don't know what that means, but it's a German company. They're best known for making high-end automotive and aircraft seats, is what they're known for. It's originally built racing car seats before expanding into the aviation side. I don't know, they look pretty comfortable. Those other ones were just plasticky, right? Easy to clean if they cleaned them. You're going to have updated carpeting, a palette of blue tones in these Southwest planes now as well. So they did a lot of research here into the onboard experience, and that's what they said. Way better than the old brown. Remember those back in the day? So they want you to feel modern. They want the interior to feel modern. They want it to feel welcomingly as they're just charging your credit card constantly going into it. They want you to ignore that part of it. By the way, Southwest has new planes out there and flying today, but they're going to modernize more than half of its Boeing 737-700s. They're going to add in-seat power, and that is expected to begin in the second half of 2026, be completed by mid-2027. They do are planning on giving everybody that free in-flight Wi-Fi via T-Mobile as well. That's going to be coming their way later on this month. And then they're going to, even if you care, refresh the employee uniforms coming up. So Southwest, with all these extra charges they're going to charge you, well, they're trying to make everything else, up elevated is their words, as the elevate the process. So you feel like the extra money you're spending with them is going to be worth it out there. And we'll finish up here this segment of McCollum on Business by telling you, if you're receiving those spam calls, those unsolicited automated calls, you are not alone. Tens of millions of unsolicited automated calls and texts each day go out to Americans. They're obviously, some can be scrupulous, right? They're intended to dupe you into forking over personal information, possibly money. Some just want to know if you want to sell your house that you don't own to them as well. So this is all from a new report by U.S. PIRG Education Fund out there. They're a consumer advocacy organization, and they found that scam and telemarketing calls and texts, well, they've exploded across the country. And there's a lot of safeguards out there that are intended to prevent them from coming. So why are they getting more and more prevalent, right? So of the 9,242 phone companies that filed with the FCC as of September 28th of this year, less than half of those have installed robocalling fighting software. The new iPhone, at least, if your number's not in my phone, it takes you to a whole nother section in the call log that I can just ignore it, right? Nationwide, Americans received an average of 2.56 billion robocalls a month. That's just from January to September. That's up from 2.1 billion a month in 2024. Well, that's the highest level in 6 years, according to the analysis from this data and everything. And it's just, why is it getting worse? It's supposed to be getting less. The volume of automated texts received by Americans, it's skyrocketed since 2021. That was when that government crackdown on robocalls led to more telemarketers and scammers. Well, instead of calling you, they text you instead now, because that's not part of that rule. Data from that PIRG study shows that the annual volume of robotext received in 2024, $19 billion approximately. Nearly triple the $7 billion robotext received in 2021. My favorite are when I get them and go, hey, we're cleaning windows in the neighborhood. Can we come by and clean yours? The predatory messages are a daily nuisance for a lot of people. I'm sure you are as well. About 1/3 of Americans say they get at least one scam phone call a day. I think I've gotten 6 since we've been on air with the show. While 1/5 say they receive one scam text every day. I can tell you I've gotten 2 since we've been doing this show as well. That comes from the Pew Research Center out there. So you are not alone in thinking robocalls and robotexts have gotten worse. They have, and it's ridiculous that they're happening out there and everything. And when we come back here at McCollum on Business, we keep it rolling. Hey, squeaky shoes. They drive me nuts when they constantly squeak. Hey, some customers are doing something about it. Well, maybe. We'll see. This particular brand, we'll tell you about that coming up here. Plus, a lot of other things happening in terms of the local stories and what's around there. And hey, you ever say, I'm tired of refilling my toilet paper roll? I just hate doing it. I do it too often. Well, maybe Charmin has an excuse, has a solution for you coming up. We got that story as well. Come on back. It's McCollum on Business. And we're back here at McCollum on Business. You just saw the ad for our newly produced show here at Robat TV, of course, with our production company, me, Riley, Kobe, Ethan's production company. Yeah, the Real Matrix, the Angry Patriot, gets you informed on what the government's doing, etc. If that type of programming interests you, it's here on Robat TV. It's got its own channel, as you see on the main screen. Just click on the Real Matrix on demand there with your subscription. For those of you that aren't a part of that process, that's okay. It's also available on the YouTube system as well. It's a free YouTube channel here with the main event, McCollum on Business, the Pit Stop, and the Real Matrix on it. Shows that we produce here, free on demand there on YouTube. Like and subscribe that channel. Check out the shows there. Ratings are good for this show here at Robat TV. And now we don't advertise the YouTube channel as much right now. We just kind of started it up and feeling our way around on it. That's advertising's coming for it. But for those of you that have found it there, thank you very much as well. And then, of course, free podcast system for it. Podbean only right now. It's going to expand out, but Podbean only right now for you. Just search The Real Matrix, and it comes right up. Of course, the main event, me and 17-year NFL veteran Del Hellestree. We talk sports every morning live here at Robat TV, 8 to 10 a.m. And then it goes up. Robat TV on demand, free on the YouTube channel as well. Free on the podcast systems for you, every major podcast system. Just search the main event with Steven or with Dale, and it pops right up for you. Find us, like, and subscribe it. We appreciate it very much. And then, of course, this show live at 11 o'clock on Robat TV. As soon as we wrap up, on demand at Robat TV, on the free YouTube page as well, on demand for you. And then the Pit Stop. Yesterday, we did the look-ahead show to Talladega this weekend. Talladega gets underway at 1:30 here today for the Truck Series. The Xfinity and Cup Series goes too. Gonna get my thoughts on the look-ahead weekend here at Talladega. Well, the look-ahead show is up here at Robat TV, YouTube as well, and on Podbean. Just search the real at the Pit Stop Talk is where you find it there on Podbean, or follow me on X as well for the NASCAR-based stuff at the Pit Stop Talk out there. And folks, we're expanding here. We appreciate you joining us. If you've ever thought about doing this, doing a podcast, doing a show, well, reach out to us. We'd love to talk to you and get you in here and help you produce that out there. And that's what we do here, and it's working out well. We'd love for you to join us. And you know what else is working out well here on this Friday? The Market Watch. The fears of the credit concerns on the banks, well, it's not. Fears aren't as strong today as they were yesterday. Dow Jones is up 342 points right now. S&P 500's up the 50 points. The Nasdaq's up 133 as we speak. The Russell 2K still the only index that's down here in terms of the four we look at. 8 points down now to 24.53 for it. Bitcoin, well, it looks like it's teetering on to getting up to the 107,000 range here. It has gotten better as the show's gone on, but it's still down in that 106,894 range for Bitcoin here today as well. So we just getting this on the wire. The Corps of Engineers, Army Corps of Engineers, well, the Trump budget chief says the Corps of Engineers is pausing $11 billion worth of projects they have due to the government shutdown. So that's another government entity here, the Army Corps of Engineers. Well, not putting money into this economy, pausing $11 billion in projects because of the government shutdown, as just now being announced by the Trump administration out there. So the government shutdown is not just affecting, obviously, if you work for the government, but, you know, pumping money into the economy right now, as well as some question marks. I've developed hiccups for some reason moving forward. First stock we're going to look at right now, well, we talked about those regional banks. Jefferies was one of those investment banks that was affected yesterday with these question marks around bad consumer loans going bad on these banks. Well, Jefferies is rebounding today. It's up 5.64%. They were down more than 10% yesterday based off of the fears that were out there. Oppenheimer actually upgraded Jefferies to outperform here earlier today. Oppenheimer investment company, they say Jefferies' exposure to the First Brands is very limited. And First Brands was one of those automotive stocks or companies that went bankrupt, and a lot of banks had money into them, loans into them. now it looks like at least Jeffries was a very limited aspect here on that first bankruptcy. Then we got the regional banks that were down yesterday as well. Zion's Bancorp was one of the big ones that was down yesterday, up today 4.88% as well. So the whole group of regional banks is ticked higher today. So it's kind of led to this market gain that we've had today with these regional banks out there. Also, Baird, that investment company, upgraded Zion's Bancorp here. They upgraded them in terms of their rankings as well. Not as big of an exposure to what they call in the bad credits loans that they had loaned out to these companies that have gone bankrupt. And then Western Alliance is another one as well that we're going to show you right here. Western Alliance also up today as they were down yesterday on that, up 1.95% right now for them. Fifth Third Bank was up today as well. We don't have that stock for you. Fifth Third Bank kind of took it yesterday on a bad day as well. You know, they, of course, are acquiring Comerica. They announced that last week. We talked about here. They're up about 1% right now. They had better than expected earnings report for the third quarter, but also they, don't have the exposure that people thought they might have with those bad automotive loans that everybody was worried about yesterday out there. So we're going to end the week on a positive note here, both in those regional stocks, regional bank stocks, the overall economy, and let's see if we can finish up with some positive stories as well. And I don't know if filing a lawsuit is a positive side of things, but I can tell you this: squeaky shoes need to end. I'm not the only one that feels that way. Customers have filed a class action lawsuit, folks, against On Inc., right? And I'll tell you more about this. It's a Switzerland-based company, and the lawsuit is claiming that their running shoes cause a, quote, noisy and embarrassing squeak, unquote, when they walk. This is awesome. According to federal court documents filed earlier this month, they were filed in the U.S. District in Oregon, by the way. ON's North American headquarters is located up in that area. Well, the customers are alleging they bought shoes from the company that contain materials that rub together. And those materials, quote, cause a noisy and embarrassing squeak with each and every step. Upset customers have complained about the squeaking issue, but On has refused to compensate them, according to the lawsuit. The class and their lawyers, well, they allege that instead, customers who have encountered the squeaky issues, well, they've been forced to fix it themselves by making, quote, significant DIY modifications to the shoe. The shoes are made with an adaptive cloud technology, is what On says. It's one of those special technologies that apparently clouds are squeaky. On did say that it includes clouds, what they're calling them clouds, but they're hollow pods on the side of the shoe that stretch on impact to make landing more comfortable. Okay. The clouds, well, they then, move to form a foundation runners can use to push off of. And all of that plasticky stuff squeaks, apparently, out there. In the lawsuit, the class does mention 11 shoe styles made with cloud technology, including the Cloud 5, the Cloud 6, and then one called Cloud Surfers as well, are the types of shoes out there that they're at. So On is the company being sued out there. I mean, they have a bunch of other shoes that use it, but that seems to be the function right now. And this is Swiss brand of shoes, by the way. I know it's a Swiss-based company as well, but Swiss is the label that you would know these brands under here. So, all right, let's litigate squeaky shoes out, folks. I'm here for it. There's nothing worse than just sitting there somewhere and just hearing somebody walking by here. Hey, if you're lazy and you hate changing the Charmin rolls, or sometimes you just get surprised out there, right? But Charmin might have the answer for you out there. Yes. Maybe you're a TP in a house and you don't want to go through a bunch of rolls. Well, it's a new product by Charmin. It's a toilet paper roll. It stretches as tall as the Washington Monument, they say. It's available nationwide right now. It's available online. You can get it in store. They're calling it the Forever Roll. Who's suing about that name, right? It didn't last forever. It gives consumers a simpler and smoother tear, according to Charmin in their announcement that they did yesterday. The product, it's been rolled out nationwide. Get it? It's supposed to last up to a month, has 32 times more sheets than a standard roll. It's a 1,700 sheet forever roll, folks. It lasts up to 1 month based on the average two-person household. It was designed to keep people going without the dreaded empty roll panic. We know changing the roll all the time is a big pain in the butt. That's why we created Forever Roll, and we're bringing it to people at retailers nationwide. The same soft two-ply Charmin you love, but a bigger roll to keep you covered so you can enjoy to go up to 1 month before changing it. What the Charmin vice president said in a release there from Procter & Gamble. My question's this. How does it sit on your toilet paper roll holder? That's big. It looks like a commercial grade of toilet. How does that fit on your roll? It's going to have it just laying there now? That's my question. That's what I got out of it. Hey, Waymo and DoorDash here in the Valley, specifically, pay attention. They're partnering to offer driverless delivery of food and groceries here in the Metro Phoenix area, folks. Yes, you've ever said, you know what? I don't want a driver picking up my stuff. I'd rather have the computer do it. This is a joint venture here, and it will offer orders from DashMart. This is the DoorDash's brick and mortar stores supplied by several convenience, grocery, and retail partners. It's where you can get it. Waymo, for their part, say they plan to expand variety and include more local merchants over time that they'd like to add into it. So customers, as you order, you can opt an autonomous vehicle delivery at checkout. There may be matched with a Waymo, and if so, the delivery will be in the trunk of the car. You have to open the car with the app in order to get it, so nobody else can steal your Forever Roll toilet paper, for instance. Waymo says this will make it safer, more seamless, and sustainable food delivery. The company says the service will start within months. Okay. Is that any different than those robots that go down the sidewalk? Except it's a car? We know TSMC up here in North Phoenix, I-17 and the 303 up there. We know that they're Taiwan's leading computer chip maker, right? Taiwan Semiconductor, we're talking about. They came out yesterday and said their net profit is up 40% in the last quarter, boosted by the surge, obviously, in use of artificial intelligence. Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Corp, as I just told you, is the biggest semiconductor manufacturer in the world. And they had that big plant up north there. It reported a net profit of a record $452.3 billion new Taiwan dollars. That's $15 billion in net profit is what they said. That's in a July to September quarter for them. A lot higher than the forecasters had anticipated that number coming in at. They earlier said its revenue jumped 30% year on year in the last quarter, and it ends up at a number of 40% when it all comes said and done. TSMC here in the Valley, they've been building chip fabrication plants here in the Valley. All across the United States, they have them, even in Japan as well. Well, they're trying to hedge against risks from China-U.S. trade tensions. TSMC is a major supplier to companies such as Apple, NVIDIA, and other huge ones they're making deals with. Even a deal with Intel is supposedly coming in line here. Rumors have it. U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, he proposed last month that computer chip production be divided 50-50 between Taiwan and the U.S. Out there. So Taiwan is where a majority of global chip manufacturing is currently based. They, of course, rejected that idea. They want the most of it. But obviously, if China invades Taiwan, that's kind of what you're hedging against here from that side. And here in the Valley, we're a big partner in more chip manufacturing being done here in the United States. TSMC has committed $100 billion in U.S. investments. That includes building new factories here in Arizona, and that's on top of what they originally had pledged, that $65 billion amount there. So Taiwan Semiconductor continuing to grow, continuing to huge profits here based off of the artificial intelligence sector out there. And folks, Go get that Forever roll and tell me where you have to store it at in your bathroom. That's what I want to know. No pictures, though, of you on the pod. Just send me a picture of the roll by itself. Yeah, text us, right? 623-252-6670. Send us the pictures on the text line. Hit me up at SMAC500 also on X. I want to see it. I want to see if it fits on there. That's a lot of space. Check it out this weekend. If you had nothing to do this weekend, you can at least do that. On the other hand, lots of football this weekend, folks. So I'm going to get out of here. You guys finish up your Friday well. We'll see you coming up here on Monday, 11 o'clock. McCollum on Business coming up on Monday. See you then, folks.